So the season is pretty much over, and as it stands, Arsenal will be finishing in second place. It appears lots of fans are disappointed. The conversations everyone is having is, we blew the season because we didn't sign a striker, and obviously that's hugely contributed to the issues we had. I mean, I did a video about 5 reasons or so why Arsenal will likely not win the Premier League title this season, and I think I'll put a link to that where you can see some of the thoughts I put together. This was, I think, in October of 2024, when everything looked like it was all possible to still win the league, but I could already see a pattern, and that is exactly what I want to address at this point, because now the conversations that are dominating, on social media is basically about how, we didn't sign a striker, and it now looks like all we need to do is sign a striker and all our problems suddenly will disappear. I don't think that's the case. I think it's beyond just signing a striker, simply because Arsenal is facing a very crucial stage in the club. There's something serious is going on. Mikel Arteta is under serious scrutiny. Not winning a major trophy this season has put him on the spotlight. This is 5th season, and all he can talk about is maybe a couple of community shields and the FA Cup he won in 2020. Obviously, it's not enough considering the ambition of the club, the fans, and everything else. But beyond just signing a striker, by the way, I'm hearing all that is dominating social media about Sesko versus Gyökeres. In my opinion, this is a video for another day, but Gyökeres is the striker Arsenal actually needs to sign, not even a Sesko, because Sesko is not much better than Kai Havertz, by the way. So we are not in that position where we can monkey around with a player who is going to be probably in his peak in the next couple of years. Arsenal need instant results. So yes, we end up signing a good striker, hopefully the likes of Gyökeres or somebody like Victor Osimhen. That's the model of striker Arsenal need. But beyond that, there is still work that needs to be done, right? Arsenal is under serious scrutiny. As I mentioned in the previous videos, there is this perception that we might be on the wrong end of referee decisions, and it impacted us last season. Someone did an analysis where he said we lost, I think, 15 points from refereeing decisions that made us drop points and all of that nice stuff. But really quickly, I just want to point out a few things that must change if Arsenal can turn the corner. First of all, going into the 2025-26 season, the season is pretty much wrapped up right now. Arsenal will need to be very, very disciplined in the transfer window. They will need to be very, I would say just all sentiments must be dropped. We're talking about signing a striker like Gabriel Jesus is not a striker. He's one of the top earners at the club right now, but he's practically not there. And he is a striker. But if you have a player in that mode who is just not there, Arsenal might just be shooting themselves in the foot. We're talking about a striker. Meanwhile, on the books, we actually have a striker. So we might need to do a bit of shuffling around the squad to make sure that if we have players, they have to be reliable. So we'll get a striker, yes, but we must look deeply into the squad and make sure that we're not just keeping players on the books that are not adding value to the squad in general. So the revamp will not just be, we want to get in a striker and the problems are over. No, if you're banking on a striker like Gabriel Jesus, then he has to perform, he has to be there. Because if you think about it, the number of fixtures that we're going to play, one of the main reasons why Arsenal had this whole injury crisis that dovetailed into losing the league to Liverpool was simply that we didn't recognize that with the squad on its own was already lean. We didn't have a big squad. The new Champions League format means Arsenal are going to play more games over the course of the season, and we're not factoring in the fact that some players were playing too many games. Someone like Bukayo Saka, Kai Havertz, week in, week out, they were playing games and they were not getting rest, no rotation. we have to recognize that it's not just the starting 11. I see people put up, starting 11s with potential signings, and it looks like, once we get a solid starting 11, we're going to win. They are not going to play every week. These guys will need to be rested. These guys will need to be rotated. It's pretty much the strength of your bench. I was watching the game against Newcastle, and when you look at the Arsenal bench, you will find out that it's a very weak bench. Very, very weak bench. I mean, you have a player like Ethan Nwaneri being for almost the most part of the season the most impactful player coming off the bench. It's not just good enough. That's just not good enough. Arsenal have the likes of Martinelli, Trossard, and even Kai Havertz who have to be coming off the bench. They're not the standard that you have to start week in, week out. Arsenal need to sign a good winger, a good striker, potentially also the defensive midfielder, key party as well, and then basically have a bench. The majority of the forward line, apart from Saka, we need to start off the bench. That sort of thing. That's the kind of rebound. The other thing is also the discipline within the squad. There's a lot of scrutiny. We received the most red cards for the Premier League side this season, 6, I think, and majority of those games cost us points. We will need to recognize that there is so much. I don't want to confirm that whatever is going on with the whole refereeing decisions is an agenda, whatever it is. We must recognize that there's a potential for we can't give referees decisions to make in the coming season. And then the other thing is, we shouldn't go into the season thinking, we want to win the Champions League, we want to win the Premier League and everything. We need to be very focused. The goal should just be to win the league, because the Champions League is everyone's game. We are not the strongest team in Europe at the moment. There's Madrid, who want to make a statement next season. They're getting a new coach. They're getting potentially new signings, and they want to make a statement. There's Barcelona. There's strong teams in Europe. The Bayern Munich. So focus on your league. And if you're going to be a bit more ambitious and say you want to get more than the Premier League, then it has to reflect in your transfer decisions. So these are some of the things I've just been reflecting on. Arsenal must make very, very intentional moves. Next season, the league title might still be decided by margins. It could be a goal difference. It could be just a point. And I don't think the fans or anybody within the Arsenal community is going to tolerate anything less than the league title. I won't even talk about the Champions League or any other cup like the FA Cup or stuff like that. The league should be the primary focus, and all that Arsenal needs to win that title is what the board and the manager will need to prioritize. So if Arteta ends up not winning a major trophy in 2025-26 season, I think the jury will be out on him. So the goal would be to stay focused, stay disciplined. There won't be any room for dissent, like players just get upset, talk to the referees and think they can get away with it. Picking up reckless yellow cards like the type, what's his name, Thomas Partey picked up in the second leg of the Real Madrid quarterfinals. That sort of behavior there will be no space for those sort of behavior. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. I think this is a critical season. It's a defining moment for Arsenal as a club, and the club, everybody needs to get on board to make sure that everything is in place. This is not a transfer window where we can gamble with players or sentiment or bring in sentiment about who goes or who stays. It's down to business. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.